Yo, what's up guys, welcome to my humble YouTube channel where I bring you fanfiction that will brighten your days. Before we start, a subscribe is greatly appreciated, and don't forget to leave a like and ring the bell icon so you won't miss exciting new fanfiction stories. That time I got Isakied as a slime. DanmachixTTIGRS by awalker0641. Chapter 17. Intelligence with indulgence. The following evening, after soaring through the sky, I met Loki at a place called the Abyss Bar. It was a nice way to end a peaceful day of going through my regular routine. As I walked over, I waved and gave her a warm smile. "Hey Loki. What's up?" She waved back with her fox-like smile. "Oi Rimuru. Ya ready to get a drink?" "For sure. I was looking forward to it the whole day. Kinda surprised by the name of this place that you wanted to meet at." I was surprised when I first found it, but they got some good stuff. At first, I was nervous when I read the name. I mean, who would want to drink at a place that was named Abyss Bar? We walked in and got a table for the two of us. I looked around at the place to observe my setting. The structure was made of stone. There was no wood in sight besides the barrels that hold the alcohol, the chairs, and the mugs. The table was smooth to the touch and cold apparently. After all, it was made of stone. It was like we were in a tavern carved out of a mountain. The lighting was dim but bright enough to see intricate carvings on pillars that were placed to hold the roof. Most of the patrons were dwarves with a few adventures. The chatter was quite boisterous within the building. Dwarves chugging from their mugs with adventurers trying to keep up only to falter. Heck, one guy was holding his stomach as a dwarf slaps his back laughing. I watched as a slight smile adorned my face. But I felt a pang of nostalgia watching that scene. A reminder of home and my friends came to my mind. But I shook it off. I'll be home before I know it. Just have to appreciate the time away from work. "Oi, what cha thinking about?" I looked over to see a sly fox looking at me. "Well, actually Loki, but is there really a difference?" I smile. "Nothing at all. Just enjoying the atmosphere." She nods as she looks around. "Ya, them dwarves sure know how to drink." I just med and nodded. Kajian and the three brothers sure knew how to drink. As we waited for a server come to our table, there was that awkward silence that fills every conversation for a few seconds before I broke it. "So, when is your familia coming back from their expedition?" She had a thoughtful look on her face as she rubbed her chin and closed her eyes. "Are they still open? I can't tell. It's pretty soon, I think. If there has been no hiccups, they ought to be back by next week. Though it's just a guess. And luckily no one's died." The last sentence was an odd statement, but I just let it slide. Well, the dungeon is a dangerous place. Even the best of the best has to be prepared for anything. That's what Aina says at least. "Oh, what about Ya and that friend of yours?" I shrug as I cross my legs and put my hand on the table. We were only down as far as the 37th floor, so it wasn't too hard for us. I see her just nod her head. Although that sprit plan lady was sure annoying. Then came a lady dwarf with two mugs in hand and set them on the table. I looked at Loki to see her grab the mug and start to drink. She sets the mug back on the table with a sigh. I see her raise an eyebrow at me for not having a drink quite yet. "Ya not planning on having any today?" I shake my head side to side. No I am. It's just... Well, how many options do they have?" She tilts her head and looks at me. "There's a few, but I like this one." All right. I shrug and grab the mug. I look inside to see it has a huge amount of foam. Underneath it there is a thick pink coloration with little bits of plants floating in the liquid. I bring it up to my lips to smell the pungency of the alcohol. It had a mix of the strong and bitter yet a sweet smell. As it passed through my lips, first came the oh-so-familiar taste of bitter alcohol, followed by a sweet aftertaste that made me want to just chug the entire drink down. But I put it down with a sigh of appreciation. Dang. This sure is good. I looked over to Loki and see that her mug is already empty, and her hand is raised for a second go. The bartender looked at her and nodded while wiping down a mug. I continued to drink from mine, enjoying the mix of flavors. As I sat and enjoyed my beverage, I began to wonder how to approach the topic I wanted to discuss tonight, only for Loki to beat me to it. "What you want to know?" I looked at her with my eyebrows raised at her question to only receive the response of a quirked eyebrow. She must have figured out that I want to ask her something. "Well, I have a few questions about the system you guys use to allow your adventurers." Why's that? I could see the inquisitiveness on her face. Well, you see, I'm training a new adventurer. She quirked an eyebrow as I continued, and I want to allow him the best growth possible. Problem is, I flipped my hand that was resting on the table palm up. I don't know how he is able to grow. So, you can see my predicament. Even with the assistance of the wise king, only having seen Belle's back once, and looking at members of various familias when they leveled up and how they did so, we came up with a hypothesis. That Belle is able to level up similar to a game by accumulating experience till he has enough to, well, level up. Problem is we were not able to ascertain how experience is accumulated. Whether just killing things is how they gain experience, if training also a viable way, or is there other ways to gain experience? I see. Well, she took a drink from her mug. The way the kiddos are able to gain experience is a mix between killin', trainin', and even doin' daily activities like runnin'. I nod my head along with her explanation while polishing off my mug. The more they do this, the more experience they are able to gain till they are ready to level up. The next round of alcohol is on our table as we continue to drink and talk. Time goes by as she goes on to explain about the amount of experience will increase the letter of their status, with I being the lowest to S being the highest. The more we drank, the further she down the topic she went. Then ya got development abilities SS. They be given when the kiddos level up. Hee. And they be, like, able to do SSS same thing as SS status with that I to SS's stuff. Hick. She talked as she swayed in her seat with a drink in hand splashing on the floor. I could tell that she was in deep, however I was unaware of how far gone she was in. Less than notice. Loki has had 13 glyphid slammers. Greater than I listened to the wise king as I sip my drink. Only 13? That's not a lot for her, must be stronger than the hostesses. Less than affirmative. Alcohol concentration is at 62.5% per volume, greater than. My face takes on a look of amazement. Well, no wonder why it's called Abyss Bar. At the end, you'll only see the abyss. And then there them skills. They be special that they just pop. She lifts her mug as alcohol splashes out and hops up from her chair, up out of no hick where. Some are SS. SSSS. Special while others be common. She walks, stumbles her way towards me with smile on her face. Loki then put the mug to her lips to have nothing come out. She lifts her mug above her face and then shuts one eye to look inside, only to find it empty of its content. Lloyd, she turns around, NTHER round of glyphid slammer please. She then follows up her statement by throwing the mug on the floor and then throws up on the floor. I just sigh and shake my head no to the tender. He nods and ignores the goddess. We both know she has clearly had enough and that it's time to go home before she does something crazy. She turns with a little throw up on her chin, only to wipe it off on her sleeve. Where hick was I? As she tries to continue, not only her talk but standing, I hold up my hand to have her pause. I think we better be going now, Loki. Your familia might be worried about you and I think we have had enough. She only sways as I throw a sack of cash on the table for the drinks and the cleanup and wrap my arm around her waist to support her. Bu. But I isn't hick done drinkin' yet. I just pull her along to her home. Sadly, unlike Loki, I was not enjoying the sweet release of drunkenness. I kept my poison resistance active because Raphael and I decided to do a little digging. In the guild, behind a locked door, we wanted to see if we can determine the average rate of growth of adventurers, how they grew, and possibility to expedite the process to have Belle be the fastest level up in history. It would really add to his story, but that wasn't my only reason for entering without permission, so to speak. I also want to see what possible skills Belle could get along with development abilities and the possibility of magic since he doesn't have any. Sure, we could make and throw a grimoire at the kid with all the magic books we've browsed, but it'd be a hell of a fight to even get him to accept it due to the fact that they are really expensive apparently. And if he did accept it, which was unlikely, it wouldn't mean he'd read it. It'd be more trouble than what it's worth. No, my goal before I leave is to get him to level 2 and thoroughly trained enough that he won't wind up 6 feet under. I drag Loki down the street while she is singing some song. It's a rather catchy tune, I have to admit, and would be good to hear if the singer wasn't drunk. But alas, one must make do with what they have. As we go further, she starts to ask for food or that we should do some shopping. I tell her no because we're almost near the Twilight Manor and shopping was out of the cards. She grumbles but Follow continues to stumble along. We finally reach her home where I turn her to her familia's care and waved goodbye to my drunk drinking buddy. After walking a bit, I reached the guild. I waited nearby till it was almost empty and then slipped in. Slippery, sneaky slime Misha was done for the day. But Aina was being mean and made her stay late to finish her work. While they were friends, Misha couldn't help but ponder at how much of a work alcoholic her friend was. She mumbled to herself, "We'll be here tomorrow. It's not like the papers are going anywhere and I'm tired. Who cares about some adventurer passing her tests? It's not worth the effort to make a new test every time they come in." And with the sudden aggressive spike with the Freya Familia's adventurers coming and going from the dungeon and the guild, there's no reason to focus on one person, and I want to sleep. She walks down a corridor to go to the archives that houses all of Orario's Familia's information on personal skills, magic, and development abilities along with the time they leveled up to how many monsters they killed that they remembered. She never liked going there. It always creeps her out. Mish unlocked a door and walked down the hallway only to hear some sort of squish, bounce noise. She nearly jumps out of her shoes and immediately turns around only to see an open door and nothing else. Odd, she thought. Probably from a lack of sleep. Yeah, that's it. She continued her walk to a vault door. There she puts in a combination that changes every day to prevent people from entering. She's not sure what all defenses are actually in place to prevent someone from entering, but she is well aware why they could be in place. This place not only holds all current but also past Familia documents on all adventurers and other sensitive matters. She puts in the day's code and hears the click of the door unlocking. She pushes it open to reveal row upon row of bookshelves filled to the brim. This place always give me the hype jibes. I wish Aina was here. She quickly walks to an aisle and strides down to the Familia of interest. Opening the book quickly, she puts in the information, closes the book, and puts it back. There are multiple volumes filled with information for a lot of Familias. She begins to walk out of the aisle to hear some books fall on the floor. She stops. Her heart rate quickens as she looks around. Hello? Anybody there? With no response in kind, she goes to a shelf that the noise came from, only to see a book on the floor. While looking around her cautiously, she nervously picks it up to see the name of the Familia. Hermes Familia. She looks around and quickly puts it back, and leaves to close the vault door behind her. With a click and a sigh, her day is done. From underneath the bookshelf rolls a jolly blue, jelly blob, which then switches to a beautiful maiden. Phew, that was close. What the heck is with this place's security? Deadfalls, magic traps, a literal wall of spikes. And that's only the half of it. Rimuru mumbles to himself. He looks around and intertwines his hands to stretch. With a nod and a black mist, the entire room is emptied. Sure, Rimuru could read these each day like his magic books, but he's on a time crunch here and letting Raphael work its magic is the fastest way to get done.